I want to jump in and talk about what you're doing with BMX because you are making it so accessible for schools and really for kids. And so I'm in awe of what you're doing. I didn't realize how much you were doing until more recently, actually. And I had heard it talked about, and you and I met at the TO summit in a few months ago. Can't
Yeah.
remember exactly when that was, but a few months ago. And I had heard about you and I'd heard your name, and I did not realize the extent of what you had created because at that point I saw your website and I saw what you were doing.
Right.
I didn't realize that this was all you.
Yeah. It is all me. I am
Wow.
looking to expand and get more people to help because it's becoming a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm always been one, like I set a goal, I'm going to go hit it. I might kill myself doing it, but it's going to happen and I'm making it happen. I'm going to make it happen.
BMX Breakthrough is bridging the gap from old school to new school, from tracks to manufacturers, from new riders to their local tracks, and it doesn't stop at racing, but the mission is to connect people with bikes. Join me, Jay Oaks, as I interview key people in the sport and in the industry that are involved in their local circles, in their communities, at their local tracks, and aiming to make a difference on a local level. You'll hear stories, marketing tips, failures, successes, and a way to make a difference in your local BMX community. Let's dive in as we kick off this next episode. Will you go ahead and introduce yourself? And then I want to talk about the backstory and all that stuff, but introduce yourself so that people know who they're listening to.
Sure. My name's Carmon Drummond. Professionally, I work in technology sales, so I consult with businesses on solving problems. I'm a professional problem solver. Personally, I'm a mom of three. I have three kids, all different backgrounds. They all like to do different things. They're all involved in different things. And I'm just I don't know, I just go for it. Whatever I do it 110%. I don't leave anything on the table. I'm going to give it my all. And I started doing BMX, and my kid started doing it first, and then I started doing it and just kind of fell in love with what a great workout it was, what a great workout it was for him, and led me to found the first Oklahoma, and I think nationwide, the first all ages school BMX team. So I'm not focused on high school, but founded the first pre-K through 12th grade. If you're in school, if you can pedal a bike, you can be on this BMX team. And from that, it was like, well, we have this team, but who are we going to race? Well, we need a school league. So then I founded the Oklahoma Interscholastic BMX League so that we could build the foundation for something and grow this team into a league where they can actually compete with other schools and other kids, but represent their school and their school spirit and community spirit while they're doing it.
That is so cool. And you have already made a huge wave in Tulsa and Sand Springs, and it is really cool. So the National Interscholastic BMX League, um, what is okay? You said that you started getting into BMX. So did you start racing as well? How did you find it?
So in 2019, a girl I went to high school with posted her son racing at Sand Springs BMX. And I watched her videos every week where she would post and he'd be riding this bike and they'd be like, "Go, Mikey." And I was like, that's interesting. And so I reached out to her and I was like, I mean, I had a like what I called a dirt bike, a BMX bike. I lived out in the country in Kansas and I rode them everywhere, but I didn't do BMX and I didn't really understand the sport. And I was like, tell me about what your kid is doing. I want to know about what your kid is doing. And she's like, oh, it's great. They like racing like on a team. And she's like, they don't have to, like, you can just come out and race. And I was like, my child has this specific child out of my three has ADHD and didn't do well in team sports because he wasn't really committed. to being there to win. He wanted to come and socialize, and he was distracted. So he wasn't like committed to the win. So I put him on football, and what a disaster. The kids were like, oh, we didn't get that touchdown because you didn't make the tackle. And then he's like, everybody hates me. And I was like, the team sports are not for him. I got to find something where he can go out and do it. He can have fun. And if he's terrible at it and he just doesn't give it his all, it doesn't matter because the only person impacted is him. And so like he gets out of it what he puts into it, and if as long as he's happy with it, it's like we're going to go out to the track. The problem is like you go to the track and you don't know anybody. Like I didn't know anybody. I didn't really know what I was supposed to bring for him to wear, like what helmet. Then he gets out there and he starts riding. I don't really know what he should be doing. I didn't know what the number plates were. There's all these number plates, and it was like some are gold and there's ones, and some are like 400 and they're white. Like I don't understand any of this. So it's kind of difficult to get into it because I was just like intimidated as a parent. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anybody. And we would just show up, and he didn't really know how to ride. And there was nobody there coaching him either. Like he was just going and sitting on the bike, riding around the track. And I was like, no, everybody's standing up. You have to stand up. And he's like, why? And I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea why, but it looks like you're supposed to be standing up. So it was a little bit of a bumpy start to get started. And then I was dating somebody who used to do BMX as a kid and went to Grands. And he was like, yeah, I've really been thinking about getting back into BMX and start racing again. And then COVID happened, and it kind of all just died down. Like I stopped doing BMX with my son, and we just weren't doing anything. And then I think 2022 kind of picked up again. My boyfriend started racing. I started going out and watching him, and I was like, I can do this. Like, how hard can this be? And it turns out it's actually pretty hard. It's not as easy as you might think it is. But then I started doing it. I was like, oh, I have leg muscles for this. This is actually kind of fun. This is a great workout. I can get some extra calories in and close my rings doing it. And I generally just had a good time doing it. But then I also, like, from a parent standpoint, realized how hard it was to get new kids in, because that same challenge I had way back when of I don't understand these numbers, but there was like nobody to really ask, and it's not like you have a team coach. And um, I saw that as an opportunity, like a gap that needed to be filled. Um, and so I hope that now, I'm helping to fill that gap, giving parents a person to go to ask, and getting clarity, and putting tutorials together for parents about what do the numbers mean, and what is it that you're doing here every Saturday, and what is the end goal for your kid, and what does the season look like. And so I'm hoping that now that we have some structures and some school seasons, then we're solving that for BMX and building a community where parents walk in, there's a go-to, and they don't have that same like, this feels really uncomfortable for me as a parent, not knowing anybody or anything about this sport. It's not like football, right? Like you sign your kid up for football, and most dads grew up with football and they can be like a coach football. You just don't have that with BMX because the numbers just aren't there. So you've got to build it. You've got to make it happen.
You talked about so much gold. There is so many amazing things that you talked about.
Right.
One of them, you saw a need and you filled it, and you're actively working to fill that need, because that is so important. And it's so easy to come up with like the finger pointing game of like, hey, there's a problem. You need to do something about this.
Right.
You should do something.
Right.
And,
Right.
and
Right.
you took ownership.
Right.
And I will
Change.
say, like, yeah, I think that you and I mean, my wife being a part of it as well, and we all did kind of the same thing, is like we saw a need within, from the perspective that we had and the viewpoint, and we thought, oh, how do we fix that? How do we help solve that problem?
Right.
Which not everybody does. So it's
Right.
really fun listening to your conversation about that. The other thing you talked about was the difference between baseball and football. When's the last time that you know of a kid that showed up to sign up for baseball and football and they said, oh, here's a mitt, just go play?
Right. By yourself. Right. Right. Good
Well,
luck. Figure it out.
well, what I do? What do I do? Well, there's a field out there. Just go for it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and and it is wild because we don't always equate and put in the reality of that situation. But
Right.
100% BMX does not. It's all right. Get out there, kid.
Right. Right. And it's even uncomfortable for the parent. I mean, you that's the thing is the parent's bringing them. And as long as the parent is somewhat comfortable, they'll keep bringing them. But if it's uncomfortable for the parent and it's uncomfortable for the child's fighting them, the parent's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're doing. It's just going to be hard to get them back out there consistently to the track.
It is. Yeah, and I think a lot of times people talk about how much of a community it is. And I talk about that too, the community of BMX. And I'm sure you're finding that now.
Sure.
It is unlike many other communities. And it's just tough to get into. And I think
Right.
a lot of times people say, oh, well, like the track is super welcoming, and they don't have the outside perspective because they have been there for too long
Yeah.
and they don't remember what it felt like to walk in. I mean, it's the same thing as like go into a party where, like, your friend that's hosting this party it invited you and they are the only person of 100 people that you know. And you're like
Right.
walking through everybody and you're like,
Right. And
hey,
they're busy talking to everybody else, and you're just like, oh, hi.
yeah. And so you walk into the BMX track and there are all these people, and you always feel like we always feel like people are looking at us, and sometimes people are, but you don't have the same equipment if it's your first time, which is something that I think we need to focus on celebrating more. Like this kid that shows up in sweatpants and a long sleeve shirt with a
Right.
not full face helmet and be like, this kid came out to race. This is
Right.
awesome.
Right.
But these parents, a lot of times, namely the factory dads, are like looking at the new kid that's coming in, and you feel uncomfortable. You
Right.
feel kind of small, and so I just think like from what we've kind of worked on and tried to work on with some tracks is from a marketing perspective, signage is so important. And I love hearing, as much as I don't love the situation, I love hearing you talk about how difficult it was to understand what you were doing, because I don't it's not a conversation that I end up having a whole lot. And anyone who's been at the track is like, well, no, it's so obvious. And you're
Right.
like, well, it's
Right.
obvious for you.
Right. Right. Because
So
maybe you were around it at some point and you circled back. It was really intimidating for me as a parent that to show up. So yeah, I mean, it is something that I think continues to need, to be solved for.
yeah. And so one, I'm sorry for the situation, but I am very glad that you're doing something about it. And thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to make tracks better, make all of
Right.
us better.
And open it up and get more people out there and comfortable coming and trying it and um, being a part of it.
And I would guess that based on your situation, I show up for the first time, you're going to notice that I'm looking a little bit lost. You're going to come over and talk to my wife and I and say, hey, can I help you with anything? Registration's over here. How can I help you
Right.
get connected?
Right.
Because you've been that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it changes the game quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so that is great. The other thing that you talked about was your son struggling in the situations where he didn't care about being overly competitive. And I have my daughter who is really competitive. I have my son who doesn't care. And we were just out in Southern California at Dirty Fest, and I've talked about him doing this. He hasn't done it for a while, but he used to come across the finish line in a gate of 7 or 8 kids, 5 and under novice, would be in seventh or eighth place, and he would go, "Dad, did I win?" And I would go, "Sure did, buddy. Like
Yeah.
you're having a great time.
You've got a winning heart.
And we were just out at Dirty Fest, and literally his first moto, there are 5 kids on the gate, and they're racing 12 and under on old school bikes, comes across the finish line in fifth by quite a ways. And he goes, "Dad, did I win?" And I said, did you have fun? And he said, yeah. And I said,
That's
then
all
you
that matters.
won.
Yeah,
And so you were talking about that with your son, is them going, well, we didn't win, we didn't get that touchdown, we didn't get this, we didn't score because you
right,
weren't as committed. And that's not boosting anybody's confidence. It's not, he's probably gaining negative points from
right,
that.
right.
But you go to BMX and he could mess around he could race for 10 years of his life, 20 years of his life, never win a race and have more fun
Yeah.
and realistically be the biggest winner out on the track.
100%. He's never won a race.
Okay.
Every time he goes to the track, he has a great time. I talked to so many people today. I met this kid, I met that kid, I talked to this guy. I know all of these new people now, and he loves it. He loves that part of it. He doesn't care about racing. I'm like, did you just go get a cheeseburger? What are you doing? You're about to race. And he's like, it's okay. I wanted to eat this before I went out there. He does not care. He'll be like, I was really trying for second, but I got third. And he's like, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. I like that cheeseburger. It was good. So he's still that way.
That's amazing. My son was that 2 or 3 months ago that there was the state race in Yukon.
Yeah.
And we were there on Friday night. Oliver didn't end up feeling great the next day, so he didn't end up racing for the actual state race. But Friday night, we're racing, and I watch him, and we get done with the race, and my daughter's talking again about how she did and her competitive side is showing. And I look at Oliver and I said, and you, I was joking, but I sounded stern. And I was like, and you, what were you doing? Jumping everything, single jump on the track? And he goes, yeah. And just the biggest smile, every single lip he's pulling up on. He's at the time he
That's
was 6,
awesome.
now he's 7 years old. He's having so much fun.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
and so like at that level, like I don't he wants to try basketball out and stuff. I don't know his level of competitiveness
Right.
at this point. So BMX is fantastic.
Yeah. 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 Right. Individual sports, and, they get in it what they put in. And it's a good life lesson. Like, if you want to be number one, you got to put a lot of hard work in to get there. It just doesn't get handed to you. You're going to lose a lot more than you win, and you're going to have to work really hard to get there. And that's life. Life treats you that same way. You don't just start at the top. You got to start at the bottom. You got to work hard to get your way up to the top. And I guess if you're okay being at the bottom, then you can be at the bottom. But I mean, they figure it out quick. Like, if I want to get faster, then I got to work harder. And if I want to take frequent water breaks and chit chat, I'm gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna leave BMX and have a good time.
Yeah. And we've had countless conversations at this point. I mean, it's probably not massive amounts, but enough where they'll get done with a race. And even my son has gotten in the last year or so to the point where he's kind of defeated when he hasn't won. And at the same time, he won't have like put in practice laps, or he wouldn't have been um trying on certain things. He would have like stopped pedaling and doing these things. And I said, well, you didn't go out to practice. You didn't want to go out
Right.
there before. You just wanted to wait and race. And then there's that life lesson and that understanding of, okay, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I missed it.
And sometimes traditional team sports don't teach you that, right? Because maybe there's a couple players that carry the team, and you all are winning, and it's all great. But like, some kids don't participate towards that, but they're part of the team, so they get to enjoy it, but they don't learn the lesson. And I feel like BMX, you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
You learn it, you get what you put into it.
Yeah.
Life lesson.
So you saw a massive opportunity to get schools involved. So where did this idea stem from?
Yeah.
And then how did it get to where it is now?
Well, first of all, when I came on, I thought it was weird. Like, there are no school teams. There's no, like, there were teams, but they weren't like the Blue Jays or whatever. It's like, it didn't, from a mom that came from football and basketball and doing these traditional team sports. It was different. And I was like, it's kind of weird. Like, why is this not a thing? And my children's father died, and my son was playing football, and he was playing because his dad enjoyed his kids playing football. And when he passed away, my son didn't enjoy it. He didn't enjoy it because he was not competitive. He didn't care. Everybody was like you're terrible. And he's like, oh, I'm terrible. But, dad likes it. And I'd always be like, you don't have to do it just to please somebody, but okay. And so when he passed away, he was just kind of like, I don't want to do football anymore. I was like, it's totally fine that you don't want to do football. Like, what do you want to do? Whatever you want to do, like, let's make it happen. And he was like, I want to do BMX. And I was like, that's great. We can start going to the track more. And he's like, but I want it to be for Edison. Like, I want it to be for my school. I want to say that I do this for my school and that community spirit. And I was like, I mean, that's not really a thing. Like, I don't know why they don't do it. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know why they don't do it. Like, you can just make it a club. It Tulsa Public Schools, they have school sponsored sports. And those are like football and basketball, where they have coaches and they give funding and they pay salaries for these teachers to do these things, these stipends, and they fund it, right? They fund transportation. It's school sponsored. And then there's school sanctioned. And school sanctioned is like, we're not going to give you any money, but we'll give you our blessing. You can have a booster club. You have to submit your booster club financials to us every year, so we make sure you're not embezzling funds, and you're on the up and up. And then once you do that, we'll give you our blessing. You can use our name, you can use our school building, you can have meetings, like we'll help you promote it, but it's a club, right? It's not a school sanctioned sport. It's not, the Oklahoma Secondary Athletic Association. It's not like a traditional sport. We're not having grade checks. There's not going to be a class. We're not going to pay a coach, but you can have this club. And I knew that because I'd been involved in other clubs along the way. And my oldest has graduated from high school. So I've kind of been down this road. And I was like, we can make it a club. I'm not really sure how USA BMX does. So I went to Hardesty and I was like, hey, you guys, like my kid wants to do this and I'll do it. I'll take the lead. We got to get their blessing. I'm not really sure what they're required. Would you go to the school with me and meet? I've got a meeting with the principal. Will you go with me and meet with her? And, let's show her USA BMX. It's official. It's not this weird thing. Like, I'm not making it up. Let's, do the dog and pony show. And I thought it was going to be a harder sell, like for her to get behind it. And it was immediate. She was like, yeah, what do you guys want to use the building? And I was like, yeah, we do. We do want to use the building for a school meeting. She's like, send me a video. We'll send it out to all the kids. And that's really how it got started, is just basically he wanted to do it, but he wanted to do it for school. And then I was thinking, like, I don't understand, like, if you're trying, and then as I got more involved in the tracks and they were like, we're trying to get more kids involved, and USA BMX is like, go to parks and recs. And I get it, because parks and recs, I guess, are where you go to build tracks. But statistically, kids want to be involved in schools. Parents want to be involved in schools. And there is a higher level of involvement when you slap a school name on it. Which you kind of see that in what we've built in, 14 months, that there is something to that there is an immediate acceptance for it. And, you build it, they will come. And so anyway, we had the meeting and they're like, yeah, do it. And so I got the booster club set up. I followed the rules of Tulsa Public Schools. I created the nonprofit with the IRS. I've done all the things to build this club, and we basically registered and promoted it to all of the feeder elementary schools into the middle school, and then the middle school feeds into the high school. So any of those schools that fed into Edison High School were invited to become part of the very first Edison BMX team. And we had 13 kids sign up. That was our first 13 kids, just all ages, middle school, some high school kids, some elementary school kids, just 13. And it was like, all right, we're going to start with these 13 kids. And as soon as that happened, my boyfriend is a teacher at Sand Springs Public Schools, and he had actually gone to them like, I want to do a skateboard or BMX thing, like, because they were telling teachers, come up with an after school program. And so he went to school and he was like, I'd like to do this. And they're like, liability. And we're not going to do it. There's too much liability. liability. And we had gone to school and basically said, look, if they have the USA BMX membership and they're doing everything at the track, then there is no liability for the school because the liability is covered by the membership in the track. So there's no liability for the school. We're going to require them to do USA BMX membership. The track is going to handle the insurance, the liability. You guys are covered. And that was a huge deal. So then he went back to Sand Springs and he said, oh, guess what? Edison has this team now that they've started. And I would like to start a team. And I would actually like to teach a class, a BMX class. He had taught like yearbook, and so he had like these electives that he had taught outside of his normal STEM curriculum. And they kind of did like a feeler, like who would sign up, and they had a lot of interest. And so he got a seventh hour. So they created a seventh hour at the end of last year, and he did a sign up at the end of last school year. And he got about 13, 15 kids that started at Sand Springs. So just maybe 4 weeks after Edison had started, he had ramped up right before school was out, got enough kids to sign up that they did a summer league over last summer. So that's how the two core programs started. And there it just, I think it just organically grows, right? Because kids start talking about it. They're wearing their school jersey. Their parents are posting it. It's kind of rah rah, look what we're doing for school, look what they're involved in. And then other parents start to see it. Um, and then by the time fall came, we did back to school, which is the best time to go and try and market to parents because back to school is when every parent shows up. They show up with their kids for meet the teacher or drop off school supplies. That is your best time to get in front of parents and children because everybody comes. Everybody comes to back to school. And Edison High School 2 days of back to school where you can just set up a table as a group and you can pass out information and you can talk to all the middle school and high school parents. So you're getting a minute with the kids like, hey, do you like to ride bikes? And then you're getting a minute with the parents to be like, hey, we have this program. Would your kid be interested? Are you interested? And really did a huge push and we got the kids up to 50 for Edison and up to 68 for Sand Springs. And then we had other schools start to show up, right? Like we had Booker T High School showed up. There were two kids and they're like, we want to sign up. And I was like, well, it would be really weird to put you in Edison jerseys. So let's just get Booker T jerseys. And then we had a Rogers High School student show up. And I was like, again, it would be really weird to make you wear an Edison jersey when you're going to this other Tulsa public school. So let's get you a jersey. And so Sand Springs, Berry Hill, Glenpool has now popped in, Owasso has popped up. And it's and basically what's happening is we've added these kids and now their parents are like, hey, we want to help grow this. And it's like, that's great. Let's prepare for back to school 2025 because that's going to be your best bet to grow your team and then take your team and make it even bigger. And so everything's happened very organically. The school community really just rallies around and it's not difficult. It's just the getting started and finding a parent to own that team for someone to actually take it, make a club, and make it into something.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you have multiple schools getting on board now, and that was so this the 20 would that have been 24-25 school year,
Yeah.
a total of 110
106, 116 at
Okay.
the end of this last school year is what we ended with.
Okay, between Edison and Sandites.
Yeah, Edison, Sandites, Booker T, Memorial High School, Rogers High School for TPS. There's 9 high schools for TPS. We have 4 of them. And then Sand Springs Elementary, Middle School, and High School, Berry Hill, Glenpool, Owasso. I feel like I'm missing somebody. And we just got 3 Jinx kids to sign up.
Wow. Well, so this is and this is phenomenal because one of the things that my wife and I started noticing having the consulting background is that we were coming in and I had raced as a kid and I really enjoyed racing. And then I came back 20 years later and I went, where are all the people? Like, are these really the numbers that we have? And from a marketing perspective, people just don't know that you exist. People have no idea who you are. People don't know. And the same can be said about a restaurant down the street that sells amazing
Sure.
cinnamon rolls, but nobody knows.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of marketing. And I started hearing about essentially these turf wars between tracks I didn't know about as a 9, 10, 11-year-old kid, but I learned about those when I was talking to some of the people that I used to race with that were a bit older than me. And it was like, well, we're not going to send you our riders for this Thursday night race or for this big race that you're doing, this double point race, because we're worried that you're going to take them and not going to send them back. And so immediately I thought, you're fighting over, like, we were 45 minutes apart. I lived in a town of 50,000 people for like that proper area, but there were probably 100,000 people in the greater section of it. Down in the other one, there were probably 200's probably conservative, 200,000's probably conservative. I'd say maybe more like 500,000. In any case, you are fighting over 50 to 100 people.
Right. Right.
This is like if a restaurant tried to compete over 100 people,
Right.
you have to
You would
realize
never, you couldn't stay in business.
that you have much bigger problems.
Right.
And in the same way, like I absolutely love the sport of BMX. You and I just talked through some of the massive wins and benefits to kids and kids of all ages. It doesn't matter. I mean, and as you were talking about, you enjoy racing. I enjoy racing. Like being out on your bike is, and there aren't a lot of sports that you can do with your kid,
Right.
but people don't know about it. And well, let's see, it would be 2 interviews ago that I did with Scott Town. Is he and I in that interview, we talked about the fact that he's been racing since the 70s. And he goes, people still don't know what BMX is. People are like, I thought that had a motor. And literally that conversation
Right.
happened to me 2 months ago. Somebody goes, wait, like with a motor? And I said, no, with pedals. And they
Right.
go, they race? That
Yeah.
and they live in Tulsa and they
Yeah.
have
That's crazy.
no idea. And so anyway, yes, to what you're doing, these people exist. And not only do they exist, but I think the really cool thing is you're giving them a place to belong that they didn't know existed.
Right. I mean, the Sand Springs superintendent said at one of the meetings that BMX was her new favorite thing, that it gives kids a place that may not traditionally belong in other athletics, a place to belong, and that more teachers should think outside the box to find ways to include kids that aren't fitting into the structure that exists at school today. And I thought that was amazing. Like, not only they didn't even know BMX existed, but then once they saw it and they saw the video, they saw the kids riding bicycles, being outside, not playing video games all the time, getting out, exercising, and doing it in their own backyard. It's like super impressed. It just it just needs to be told more. The story needs to get out there more. And I think if people take it to their school and they introduce it to their school, schools are going to get behind it and they're going to get behind it really fast.
Yeah. Wow. Her words are gold,
Right?
though. I mean,
Right.
that
Right.
for the superintendent to realize the weight and the significance of, I'll step aside from BMX for a moment. I don't even care about the sports, but the sports specifically for this instance, but for that superintendent to go, there is something that gives kids a place to belong that may not otherwise belong.
Right.
I don't care what the sport is. That sport needs to exist in the school.
Sure.
It
And they
happens to be
don't.
BMX, which is all the better.
Right. But
But
they don't have to try out. Nobody sits the bench. It doesn't matter how good you are. You're going to be able to come out and be a part of it. And that's huge. That's huge for kids because especially in a world where you have to try out and you don't make it and you can't You're not going to be able to get better at that sport because there's nobody coaching you. Like BMX is open arms. It doesn't matter. You can pedal a bike, get on out here. Like we're going to find a way. I mean, Sand Springs has a kid with one arm that rides a bike and races BMX.
Yeah.
I mean,
And and
it is,
he's and
you
he's a
will,
phenomenal rider.
right? He is great. He's
And
great.
oh man, I've gone on urban rides, street rides with him, and
Yeah,
he is so cool to watch on a bike.
right.
And he loves it. And I've become friends with his dad. And like
Yeah,
it gives him a place where
right. Where
so
maybe,
cool.
right. Well, maybe he wasn't included in other sports. Like, yeah, I mean, you come out here, like, we're gonna make sure that you're a part of this.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter if you, like there's some kids that still ride the track sitting down. And I'll be like, stand up. And they're still like, are you talking to me? And it's like, yeah, well, all right. Well, and at
Yeah.
the end of it, I'm like, did you work hard today? And they're like, I worked hard today. And I'm like, take some candy for working hard. Anybody that works hard today is candy. Like if you worked hard for you, you're getting a reward.
And I love that because the it's a great example of the line too of that's where I kind of try to keep parents out of the situation that are trying to live vicariously, because then parents sometimes get involved and kind of mess up the whole thing. And they start getting after that kid, and you can push really hard for a year, 2 years, and then that kid gets burnt out and
Right.
hates it. But I just think like the long term, even with my son, like I could do the dad thing and I could get really upset with him for not for wasting my money, and you're going out there and you're not trying to win, you're just trying to jump. But I'd rather look back for him to look back and be like, best years of my life, best time of
Right.
my life.
Right.
And then
Having a
for
blast.
him to go, now it's time, or that kid that you're talking about, now it's time to stand up. I want to win.
Right. Right.
And yeah, and then
Yeah.
push as hard as you want
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
it's you.
Yeah. And the kids, they all come out, they all work hard, they'll take frequent water breaks. I'm like, I don't care how many water breaks you take. I mean, I just don't come and sit around for 30 minutes. Come back up, try another lap, then go take another break. But to me, it's about, do you work hard? Did you give it everything that you had to give today? And as long as you did that, you should be proud of yourself, pat yourself on the back. I started bringing candy because the kids got really sad when they weren't winning trophies. And so I've just now been this terrible candy lady that after every practice and every race, like if you get a trophy, great. And if you don't, come get candy. I take their pictures for socials with their candy. I'm like, hold your candy up because you earned candy today because you worked hard, right? Like that's it. Like just come out and work hard. Give it your best when you come out. Go to school, give it your best. When you get older and you go to work, go give it your best. Like always give it the best that you got. And as long as you're doing that, you can feel good about it. When the kids get upset and they start to get tears in their eyes, I'm like, did you give it your best? And they're like, yes. I was like, did you go as hard as you could go? Yes. You should be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself. Like, don't get down on yourself because you didn't get a trophy today. The trophies will come. You come and you work hard. Eventually, the trophies will come. Right now, I've got candy. Go get some.
Yeah. Although I think the most important thing that I took away from that is that Carmen has candy. So I'm
Yes,
gonna come and
right.
find you next time I'm at the track.
Yes. Listen,
And
I will say this, all the kids want to say goodbye to me when they leave early. Can you come up off the track? They want to say goodbye to you. They don't want to say goodbye to me. The first thing they say to me is, I'm leaving early. And I'm like, okay, it was great. Did you work hard? Fist pump. And they're like, where's the candy? Oh, let me go get it out for you so you can get some before you leave.
oh, I thought you wanted to say goodbye to me.
I thought
Never
you cared
mind.
about me, but it's all right. I'm
Yeah.
okay being the candy lady.
That's awesome. Well, I'll also say hello to you and goodbye to you.
Yes.
But there,
There will be candy in the
yeah.
bag.
At this time, I want to give a special shout out and thank you to our 2025 sponsors who are helping us make the mission of BMX Breakthrough happen, which is to grow the sport at a local level. These sponsors, you can find more about them in the description, and then you can use their coupon codes. And you may be saying, I don't need a coupon code, but I would ask you, please use that coupon code as a way to help us all track what we're doing together. It helps them, it helps us, it helps everyone. So at our gold level, we have Box, Mongoose, and Pro Lids. At the silver level, we have Dance Comp, LRC, and Pro Start. And at the bronze level, we have Command Aviation, Danger Snacks, Fly Racing, Gear Blocks, Justin Shepard Title Examiner, Lincoln Park BMX, Sign Dog Northwest, Sound Cedar Lumber, and Tasco. Once again, you can follow the links in our description to find out more about these phenomenal brands. You can find the coupon codes for some of them available there. And thank you so much to our 2025 sponsors. Now back to our episode. Okay, so you said that one of the best ways we are coming up on, and the reason that I wanted to do this interview with you now and get it out into the world and into conversation is because we are coming up on back to school, which in Oklahoma, school starts in August. In Washington, it starts in September. It's where I used to live. And so, like, coming from there, it starts very early here in Oklahoma. But either way, when does the back to school prep side of things happen? Is it a month before?
Usually a week before school starts.
Okay.
And a lot of schools close over the summer. So the best time is usually the first week in August to reach out to the school, elementary school, middle school, high school, reach out to them the first week of August, start leaving them messages if they're not answering, because as soon as they come back, they'll reach back out to you. And what you're asking is, I would like to start the Edison BMX team. I would like to know if I could come and set up a table and hand out information at your back to school night, at your meet the teacher, like what is it that they have? And you might even just look at their social media because usually they post it. So you go back to last year. What did they post? Because usually what they did last year is what they're going to do this year. So, find out, is it meet the teacher night? Is it drop off school supplies? But you want to be there for it. And a lot of times it's just 3 hours. A lot of the elementary schools, they're not like Edison High School where it's a 2 day extravaganza. It's usually just a few hours. And so you want to have a table, you want to have flyers ready to go. I had a bike set up at Edison so that when people are like, what is that? I could be like, you ride bikes like this one. And so we had, a bike stand and we had a bike up there. And we're like, this is the bike that you would ride. And here's the helmet that you would wear. And here's some pictures of people doing it. Um, anyway, like have the flyer. And then the way that I would approach people, even people that will walk by your table and try not to look at you, as being like, grab the kid. Hey, do you like to ride bikes? Almost every kid loves to ride bikes, right? Like, here's a flyer, take a flyer. We're doing a bike team. You want to be a part of the bike team? And then their parents will stop because they'll look at their parents and their parents will look at you. And you don't have to decide right now. I have a clipboard, and on that clipboard is name, cell phone number, email address. All you have to do is write it down, and we'll send you a reminder about our school open house. So, I mean, most people are like, oh, yeah, all right, I'm at school. This is safe. They'll give you their information, right? That's all you want to get from the back to school is their information. You don't want a commitment. You want to pique their interest. You want to tell them you've got an open house ready. It's coming. Here's the date. Are you guys interested? You don't have to commit. Just give me your info and I'll reach back out to you and remind you. And if you guys want to come, great. If you don't want to come, no pressure. And almost everybody will write their information down. You just have to get them to stop just for 1 second and get that kid to look at you, get that parent to look at you, and then you've got them. Get them to write their information down. Like, you're not committing. This isn't a commitment. It's just, I'm going to remind you. I'll send you a reminder. We had 200 from Edison High School that had signed up as a reminder. And then we had pages from all the different elementary schools. That open house that we had last year had 60 kids show up for the open house. So not everybody that signed up came, right? But we basically just made a list and we sent out text reminders like, hey, it's Carmen from Edison BMX having the open house. You guys going to be able to make it? Like, oh, you can't make it? Like, well, I'll, do a makeup. Do you want to do a makeup? Like, if you can't make it as a schedule, we'll do a makeup. So you're just using it as a marketing tool. You're trying to get who your prospects are for your BMX team. And then you're going to try and close the deal at the open house. So your next goal is to get them to the open house, have the kids ride, and then try and close the deal at the open house.
That's incredible. Okay. Do you have on your website, do you have any semblance of flyer or example?
Oh, I will post the flyers that I haven't, but I
Okay.
will post. I did I did 16,000 flyers this last for the spring session. There's 89 Tulsa public schools, and I was trying to get more of the schools involved, more of the elementary schools that were feeding into Booker T, into Rogers, into Memorial. Um, and a lot of those schools will send flyers home. So we got the school to send an electronic flyer home. It was 8.5 by 11. I did it in Canva. I put pictures of, all the Booker T kids, the Edison kids, like all the different schools that I had, to try and show parents what it was like you're riding a bicycle. I put the website that I wanted them to go to, and the QR code was a link to the registration form. So if they did just take a picture of the QR code, it would take them straight to what I wanted them to do. The call to action was registration. Go straight there, not an info page, not a learn more. It was just like, I want you to register. I've got all the information you need to register. Go to the registration page. For the 16,000 flyers I did a third of a page, and it was just a sliver front and back, third of a page. And then I found this place for like $300, and it did 16,000 flyers, printed full color front and back, delivered to my door. And then my office mates and I did a half day community service project for work. And we went around and we delivered all of these to the school. We would call the school and be like, how many kids are at your school? And they'd be like, 500. We're on our way. And we would drop 500 off and then drive to the next school and be like, 375. Here's your 375. And then the school would distribute them for you.
I just
So
realized 500, that is a ream of paper.
right, it's a lot.
That
And to get 16,000 flyers for $300, I should also post where I bought those, because I was like, this place is so cheap and fast. Like, get them in 2 days.
yeah.
But also a really great way. So get with the school, go to back to school, hand out the flyer. If you can do electronic flyers, if they'll put you on their social media, ask them. A lot of them will do anything for the kids to be able to participate in something. And I always led with BMX's bicycles. They're going to come out, they're going to race their bicycles, right? Just keep it simple. Don't explain the
Dumb it
different
down.
cruiser class, like, no, just they're going to race their bicycles. They're going to come out, they're going to race their bicycles. They're going to do it at a track. It's really cool, and they're going to do it with the school name on it, and they just get behind it. Like, would you share it? Oh yeah, we'll put that in our newsletter. We'll share it on our, so send us a graphic. So Canva is really great because they have a bunch of templates. You just go in, you change the color, you stick your mascot on there, you upload a picture of a mascot, it automatically tells you here are all the colors of the mascot, so you can just brand the rest of it. So I will put on the website. I haven't done this yet, but I will put on the website the flyers that I did in Canva as a template so people can download them and reuse them. And I'll put the company that I bought those 16,000 flyers from, because that was an amazingly cheap deal.
That is awesome. And also you mentioned the cost. $300 is really inexpensive for that. However, if somebody wanted to contribute, is there a place that they can go to? Are you in a spot where you can accept donations?
I am. So technically, Edison is a nonprofit. So we will take donations. We'll take in-kind donations. We have a Square site. If you go to edisonbmx.com, you can make a donation. Um, any type of sponsorship. We have reached out to different businesses for donations and sponsorships. And I mean, the nonprofit and the way that Oklahoma basically sets up booster clubs, you're really set up in a way to be able to accept donations as a nonprofit. You also get the community backing of the school. So we just did a fundraiser where we just went to Ace Hardware and sold popcorn for the weekend outside of Ace Hardware. We sold 140 bags. I made $560 off selling popcorn. I made $608 from people walking by, dropping $2 in. Oh, Edison, I graduated from Edison. We had a guy come through and be like, I'll take a bag of popcorn, gave $100 bill and said, keep the change. I graduated from Edison in 86. Like, did they know what BMX was? Most of them were like, what is this, bicycles? What is this? Most of them didn't know, but you already have an in as a school team because people want to back the community and the school. Like they weren't part of the BMX team. They didn't even realize, they were like, well, that is a thing at Edison. It's like, yeah, that's a thing at Edison. But they're like, I taught there 20 years ago. My kids went there. They're grown now, but I love Edison. It's 608 in donations, $560 in popcorn sales. So like
Wow.
the community backing that you get by having the school team to be able to go to local businesses and say, I'm Edison, you've got an Edison alumni that's running, that owns that business. And now they're willing to give you a, a jersey sponsorship, a donation, an in-kind donation because you are the school team. Right. So you can raise funds. I raised $1,000 in a weekend selling popcorn, most of that donations that were made by Edison community, the community of Edison. So I think that's another important aspect. Like we bought our kids transponders for their bikes so that when they go and they ride at Hardesty, now we have a training tool. Like, yeah, you didn't win. You didn't even get a trophy. But guess what? You just broke your track PR. You're getting better. You're getting faster. This is what we want you to focus on. Don't get frustrated that you're not winning. You come out, you work hard. We're going to use these transponders to show you how you're working hard. It's not a burden to the family because we went and sold popcorn. And anybody that came out and helped us sell popcorn earned a transponder. If they already have a transponder and they came out and they helped us sell popcorn, we're paying your required race fees. Your 2 races for the month, $30, we'll cover that for you. We're going to use the money that you came and earned by selling popcorn to help you cover the cost of BMX. And you can do that because you have the school name listed on your jersey and you've got the support of the community.
Yeah. That is amazing. Okay. Yeah, I took a few notes because I've got more to talk to you about offline. But
Right, sure.
anyway, you've definitely got my wheels turning, and I know that we I'm excited about what you're doing. People that I've talked to that know about what you're doing, they're excited. And so I mean, yeah, before I say any more, Carmen, thank you
Yeah.
for what you're
Uh,
doing.
I'm I'm excited to be doing it. I feel like I'm giving back to my community in a different way. My kids are all aging out of school. Like I'm an empty nester almost. Like what am I going to do when I don't have any kids at home? And I feel like this is giving me like a different set of purpose. Like I've achieved in my career, I've done well. I've achieved there. I've set my goals, I hit them. Like I'm kind of like, all right, I've done that, been there, done that. Now like what am I going to achieve now? And I feel like this is my thing. This is what I want to grow. It's my little baby right now. I'm taking all these schools under my wings. I'm like, I'm going to help you get started. And then we're going to find a parent to take your team and to grow it and become the next 60-person school team.
I love that. And then before I forget, because I almost did, you just talked about required races. And before we started recording, we talked a little bit about required races. And kids can, to some extent, compete as much or as little as they want to. So will you talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah. We do want to scare people. I don't want to scare people. Like, I didn't realize that when I first started, the season was all year. Like,
And
and
you
you know,
can race 7 times a week.
right, right. It can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And, you're as a parent, if you've done like soccer, spring soccer, or like football, like there's seasons and then you're done and you get a break from it because it can be a lot. You go to practices all the time, you go to games all the time and it's intense. And then it's like, I need a break. And so I was like, oh, this might scare parents if they come up and we're like, the season is all year. You're going to do this thing you've never done before, and it's going to happen all the time, and it's going to overwhelm people. And so we're like, let's cut it into seasons. Like, what makes sense? And, we kind of played around with it the first year, like, what does make sense? And I think what we settled on is, winter is a break, not just for the kids because it's cold outside. It's naturally going to be a break because attendance starts to dwindle in Oklahoma. Some days it's 70, some days it's like -2, it's freezing. You can't breathe while you're biking.
Sometimes on the same day.
Right, right. So it's like, let's give us a break. We're going to take a break from doing this, and we're going to take kind of winter off because it's hit or miss. The kids can come out. They want to still race. They can still race. Like, we're not telling them they can't, but we're just going to like take a break. We're going to pick back up after spring break. So the weather starts to get nicer. It's consistently nicer. Spring break is over. Parents kind of refocus on what they're going to be doing for the spring. Let's shoot for a spring season, and then let's do summer programming, and let's do coaching over the summer, because a lot of kids, they lose their spring sports, go away. In high school, especially, there's no sporting activity happening over summer. There's training that they do, but they're not playing anything. And so it's a good way to get kids into the program that are doing soccer. High school soccer is over. Football, spring ball, it's over. Basketball, it's over. It's like, and it's not going to start again until school starts again, because teachers want the summer off. So, like, let's have a summer season and bring people on. The state series is going on, right? They can come be a part of it. And the state championship in Oklahoma is, like, I think the 23rd of August. So, like, right when football season picks up again and school starts again, then you can kind of just say, like, hey, when the state series is over, that's the end of the summer season. So we basically said, if you sign up in spring, we want you to stay through the summer. You can sign up through the summer, come be a part of the state series. We're going to pick our state championship. It's going to end school. You want to go and do marching band, you want to do football, you want to whatever, you need to take a break from BMX. It's a good cutoff point. Take a break. We'll see you next spring, right? Then we know we're going to get people from the fall that, summer baseball is over, spring baseball, summer baseball. Now we've got kids that aren't going to do football, marching band, but they don't have anything to do until spring. All right. Now we open up another season. You guys come in, you fill your gap with BMX. You don't have to commit the whole year. And then we told parents, like, look, we're not trying to make this overwhelming. We want you to race twice a month. That's it. And we did the first and third Saturday. So as long as the track doesn't have a conflict, there's not a national, it's not closed, whatever, it's going to be the first and the third. And that changes. Sand Springs does the second and the first and third Sunday. Hardesty is the first and the third Saturday. We want you to come those days. And we want you to all come on the same day. Because when we first did it, we told them just come for 2 race days, but then they weren't racing people their own age, right? They were racing up, and they were really behind, or they were racing intermediate or expert. And we're like, all right, all come on the same day. You guys can race each other in the same age group. So at least you're racing people like 8 novice, 9 novice, 10 novice. You guys are all racing each other. And then if you need to miss, not a big deal, just make it up some other race day, right? So, like, if you can't come, no biggie, come the next Saturday, come a Thursday. But in general, let's all try to be here on these same days so you can race the same age. And that's worked out a lot better. But only 2 races. Like, I don't want to overwhelm them. Like, you come, we do 2 practices. Right now, we do 2 practices a week. So TPS is Monday, Wednesday. Sand Springs does Tuesday, Thursday. And then you do every other week, you race. If you want to come and race all the races, you want to race all of Sand Springs, you want to come to Hardesty, you want to do them all, you're welcome to do them all. But you're not required to do them all, because that can be too much for a family's budget. It could be too much for a family schedule. I had 3 kids. Like, I had to figure out how to get my 3 kids everywhere. Like, I don't want to overwhelm a parent where they're like, we're not going to do BMX because that is crazy. We have to be there all the time. So it's like, what can you afford? How can we help you pay for it? We want you to come as little or as much as you want. You want to do national races? Go to all the national races. We'll support you. Wear your jersey. We'll rah you. We'll put you on socials. We'll be so proud of you. You don't want to do any national races? That's okay too. Like, just come out to the local track twice a month. That's all we want you to do.
Which is amazing. If I go out and I'm on my school team and I decide I'm going to go, I got my parents backing me and I want to go to all the races, am I going to win for my team just because I go out and hit all the races?
You're going to win for yourself. So it's still an individual sport, right? You're going to get the points. You might get the NAG plate. You might get a national plate. You might win a Rock One plate. You can earn all of that for yourself, and you can come to the track and you can show everybody, I'm NAG 10, I'm a Rock One, I'm a whatever, right? Like, you have those bragging rights. It doesn't necessarily help the team rankings, because we're not using those to compare the teams, right? Because we're not requiring that. We're requiring 2 races a month. So we're going to take your 2 races a month, your points, and we're going to apply that to the team rankings. So you can go do all of those things. That's for you. You are doing that for you. It's not, the team's not benefiting. The team gets, hey, Sand Springs has a kid that won Rock One, has a Rock One plate, right? He won that at Brands last year, and he's killing it. He's going to races. He's doing a bunch of Gold Cup qualifiers. He's killing it. He's killing it. It's not making his team better. It's making, I mean, he's good and he's winning that. He gets those accolades, and we're giving the kids, like, we gave him a special jersey for Rock One. And we're going to give all the kids that get a gold plate a special jersey for gold plate. And we're going to give all the kids that get a state plate a special jersey for state plates. Like, we're going to give them accolades for the things that they do, but it doesn't help the team because the team requires 2 races. And so we're going to take those 2 races, and that's what's going to help the team rank. So, like, is Sand Springs better than Edison? Is Edison better than Booker T? It's those 2 races that are going to determine, who is better on a monthly basis. And it's the state champion is going to be the state series. You go to Gold Cup, that's great. That's not giving the team anything extra, but that's giving you something. You get the gold plate, you get the Rock One, you get the NAG, you go to the nationals. Maybe you get to a place where then somebody wants to sponsor you. That's great. Like, we also made a rule that you can be on 2 teams, right? You have to pick the team. We want you to go and become sponsored. We want you to be so good that somebody's like, I want to sponsor you. That's great. You just won't be on the team anymore because now you're so good, you're being sponsored by somebody and you're racing for somebody else. And we want that for all of the kids. If they want that, we want that for them. We want to help them get there. But it was just a conflict of interest to have somebody, we did that. And we made that rule in the spring, like, okay, you have to pick a team. You can't be on 2. You have to have a commitment to the team. If you're going to commit to us, you can come out, you can get the extra track time. We'll do the coaching for, basically as part of your monthly fee, which we do charge $3 for practice a month. Hardesty, we pay track rental fee. So we have to cover that, and we do that through the fee. So you pay that. We have 5 volunteer coaches for TPS. So we have 5 coaches that are out there breaking up the kids, helping them, pointing out things that they could do differently, what they should work on, that one kid should work on to try and improve their skills and progress. And that's all part of it, right? You're on the team, you get that coaching, you get to come to the track twice a week for 2 hours each time, and you get to come race. And if all of that builds up to you're so great that someone comes and says, I want to sponsor you as a rider, I want to give you a jersey, I want to help pay for your races at nationals, I want, like, great. That's what we're going for. You want that, we want that. But the only way you're helping your team are those 2 local races.
I love that. And that was one of the things that I think hooked me originally with hearing you talk about it and hearing other people talk about it, is because BMX in district plates and neg plates, I mean, it's literally a competition of who can get to more races.
Right.
And that's not how the majority of sports work, because other sports have an outline season, not 11 and a half months of season.
Right.
And one, like you said, you come in as a parent and they're like, oh, and by the way, we race all year. We never stop. Right. And so that is really difficult for people. But also the fact that, like, right now, my family's in a really busy season of life, right, and getting to the track even twice a month is a bit of a stressor. And so, and not to mention that amidst work right now, I'm really tired, and there are days when I'm like, I don't really want to go.
Don't even want to go. Yeah.
And then the kids are tired and they're doing summer activities and things. So I love the fact that 2 times a month is the requirement. And then aside from that is, just because a school has, if it's a massive public school and say you had a smaller private school involved, just because the public school has 100 riders and a private school has 2, 3, 4, that doesn't immediately alienate them.
Right. It's an average of points, because even though Edison has 50-ish riders, Sand Springs has 50-ish riders, we're not the big cheese in town. If Broken Arrow, that has their football league, their youth football league, has like 7 football teams per grade. If you translated that to BMX, that's a lot of kids at the track, right? Like they would decimate an Edison, a Sand Springs with the numbers that they could potentially bring. And so it was like, all right, like you might be the big cheese now. It's not always going to be the big cheese, but you shouldn't be punished for being small. You should, right? And so like the Booker T kids, there's now 3 Booker T kids, and they were like, oh, we'll always lose to Edison. I was like, that's not true. It's an average. We'll take the average. If you guys all place first and you get first place points, that's your average. And if Edison only gets a couple first and most of them are third and fourth, then their average is lower than yours. Like if you're outperforming them with the 3 that you have, you're going to outperform them. It's your average. And so I've been thinking about different ways, and we've been playing with it because it's new. Like, how can we give people credit for participation? Your team, what's the percentage of participation on your team? How many people are dropping and not doing their 2 required races? Like, getting them there is part of it too. So you get credit for participation. Like, what's the percentage? And so we've been playing around with the different rankings. Like, yep, we don't want people to be punished because they're small. We don't want people to be gobbled up by a big team coming in. It's not fair. Like, what are the averages? How can we make it fair? And when I first started talking to people about it, they're like, you could do like how BMX does teams, and then you pick the riders. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, because then that takes away from no one sits the bench, because people are then sitting the bench, right? Like they're not contributing to the team. And then one person or 2 people are deciding who gets to contribute to the team. I don't think that's fair either. And so, I mean, we're playing with it. We'll see how it turns out. But it's an average. So like there are going to be total points, right? But it's not going to contribute to the rankings. It's going to be the average. You got 2 people on your team, you got 20 people on your team. What's your average? That's how we're going to rank you.
But that's great too, because that even gives smaller schools that, I mean, I
Right.
remember having friends in rural Montana, and they would talk about how they play, like, I think it's 6-man football, because these and the other schools that they're going to, the closest one is 2 hours away. The longest one that they're traveling to is like sometimes 13 hours away.
Crazy.
And it's so that they can play football. But they drop it down to 6-man football. Most of those teams have 7 players.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, like here in Tulsa, you would immediately, there are smaller private schools that would be alienated from even being able to participate
Right.
in football. Whereas in some ways, what you're talking about, if you bring in like a participation uh point value as well, a private school that has 150 students total, they have 4 riders on their team. Well, so in some ways they'd have an advantage because it's easier to get all 4 riders.
That's right.
So
That's
they could
right.
hit 100% participation.
Yeah.
And then you have a school that has 50 riders. Well, they get 30 riders to the track for their monthly
Right.
too.
Right.
And so it's like, great, you're bigger, but that doesn't mean you win. We
It doesn't
have,
mean you're automatically
yeah,
better. And so that's the
yeah.
thing, is like it needs to be fair. Because there are going to be like there's class AA schools and there's class 6A schools, and it's not fair that they have to compete. So just trying to find a way to, without having to have that whole class system and trying to track that, how can we make it fair? And I feel like right now that's fair. I mean, we'll play with it. And if we can find a fairer system, we'll work it. But I think that's a really fair way to encourage kids. You could have a kid with 1 kid, and that school could be ranked number 1 because that kid is just killing it and
Yeah.
winning all the races. I mean, but what I want them to do is come out, represent, not punish people, not numbers don't help you. I was looking at the college races, and it was like I think they do some type of total point because it was always the bigger team was always winning, and maybe they're just always better. But I was like, is that part of it? Is like total points? I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to make it fair and give the little guy a shot at winning. And honestly, Edison's got 50 kids, but they're still the little guy in the Tulsa metro. They're still a little guy.
Another side of that coin is like in a sport where the idea is that nobody rides the bench, where everybody gets to
Right.
participate, where your son can go out and not even care about competition. My son can go out and care about competition 50% of the time. Well, if there's ranking and percentage based on participation, they're going out and they're riding and
Right.
they're having a ton
Being
of
credit for that.
fun. And so I mean you can have different levels of
Right.
award within that as
Right,
well.
right. And here's
And
the thing, is like even if you're on a team and they're ranked third, you're still out there getting the rock one plate. You're still out there killing it. It's like, so there's still that individual aspect of BMX. And then there's the community and the team, and like we're gonna rank you. But really what we're doing is we're just providing a place of education for parents.
yeah.
Like when they walk up and they're like, I can't find my moto. I don't know how to look up motos. And so you're there to help. I mean, that's really what these teams are for. Just a place where they walk in and they're already part of something, and they already get direction, and they already have other parents helping them, like, adopting them and helping them figure out gold plates and state plates. And I mean, that's really what it is.
Well, and I think BMX is a place where it's an individual sport, but so many people end up getting onto teams as a result of just wanting to feel like they're a part of something in
Right.
the same way that a team starts working their way up in ranking and they start heading toward in the direction of the Super Bowl or the playoffs. And then
Right.
all of a sudden
Right.
everybody has their jersey and you're like, I mean, I remember when in Washington when the Seahawks started winning and people would buy jerseys. I'm like, I didn't know that you watch football. And they're like, well, we're winning now. I'm like, w-" and I would always mess with people and I'm like, we are not. They might be, but we you're sitting on the couch. Like
Right.
we're not,
Right.
but
Right.
people want to be a part of something.
That's right.
And so then people join teams and I talked to somebody in Southern California a couple years ago, and he said, "Oh, he goes, we were new to BMX. He goes, my highest priority on telling somebody to get onto a team is because of the support that you have at the race." And it was because he went to a race, didn't know anybody, ended up crashing, had like a
No.
five-year-old son, and he goes, I didn't know anybody. There were some people that recognized me from the track, and they ended up like bringing me over and having me sit in their booth and then asking how to get a hold of my wife and all that. And he goes, but I was at a state race. I didn't know where I was. I, my son needed help, without me being fully functional. And so he ended up on the team that pulled him into their tent.
Right. Yeah.
Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's just like just humans should help each
Right.
other out.
You
And
should do
like,
that.
how do we help you?
That's the
Um, I
thing.
I don't really think anybody's gonna just get left behind, but like at the same, but I guess to that point is that people want to belong, and so
Yeah.
you're immediately giving them something that they recognize. I recognize that from our basketball team.
Right.
I
I recognize that kid from my class.
yeah.
I see that person from my class, the parents. The thing that I thought was so cute, we were doing that fundraiser, and a group of parents, they were like, we should invite the other parents. They're out of town this weekend, but it would be really fun to come do this fundraiser all together and hang out for a few hours and sell this popcorn together. So it's like they already see each other at school. They've become parent friends, they've become kid friends. Now it's like, oh, we're involved in this sport and we're going to do this, and we're going to continue that friendship and that community across, the entire gamut of school and work and sport and outside of all of those things. So, I mean, I think the school teams, I don't know the history and why it's never been a thing for BMX. It's going to be so easy to grow it, to get it started, to get a small team. And once you have the small team, it's just going to organically grow.
I was just talking to there because so there were a couple of teams, a couple of schools that did something, and it was never on a major level like what you're working toward. and never on like a consistent level. There were just a couple of teams like late 70s, early 80s, maybe even late 80s that had a couple of teams. And so this guy was just showing my kids and I at Dirty Fest uh his yearbook and showed us a picture of him
That is
on
so
his
cool.
middle school team and showed us a
That is
couple
so cool.
pictures of him and some schoolmates that were racing in middle school and high school, and even my kids were enjoying it. I mean, these pictures are
That is
40,
so
50 years
awesome.
old,
Right.
and it was super cool to see. And that was one of the that in that moment I thought, oh, this has been done, but it was never a
Didn't catch
well-known
on.
thing.
You know what I think
No.
is interesting is, you have to build the groundwork. And I kind of stole it from the INFC, which is in northeastern Oklahoma. What my oldest son did was play football in Little League, and it's the INFC. And they were a well put together football league. They basically had a structure, a league, and then you could create a club for your school, and you had to join the league and agree to the league rules. And then they were the governing body of that league. So, you couldn't recruit kids, like kids couldn't just move from one school to the other. Like you couldn't just be Edison and then all of a sudden be a Sandite. Like that's not a thing because you don't go to school there. So like there were rules, and then there are punishments for if you go and you take someone from Edison and try and move them to another school that they don't even go to. You can't do that. So there are rules about you have to be in school. If you're homeschooled but you live in the school district, then you can be a part of the club. Um, but you can't just move clubs. You can't just be like, I don't want to be Edison. I'm going to be a Sandite because you don't go to school there. Right. So there are rules that you follow. And I was like, all right, they know they've been doing this for 25, 30, 40 years. I'm going to take their rule book and I'm going to make that our Oklahoma League rule book. And then I was like, and then we all are following the same rules, right? Like all of our jerseys, if you do it, we put your serial number on the back because that never changes. And you don't have to buy a jersey mid-year because for some parents it's very expensive to buy another jersey. You have to get a number plate in the middle of the school year. You have to pay for all of these races that you're doing, and we're trying to minimize, you know this expense of it. So on the school jersey, it's your serial. It's the last three number of your serial number because that never changes. And some of the kids are like, my number changed. And I was like, on the school league, everybody in the school league is going to have the same jersey. You guys are all running around with your serial number, unless you get a gold cup, you get a state plate, you get a nag, you get a nat, you get a rock, whatever. Then you can wear that number. While you wear that plate, your parents want to buy you that jersey. Otherwise, everybody, we're all doing it the same way. And when it becomes the same way everywhere, then it won't feel different. It feels different. And it's a little bit of an issue right now because they go to the track and everybody's wearing matching plates and jersey numbers. But also to make it like you're going to wear your jersey to school, we want it to make it kind of like a valid sport. We need a number back there so other kids see it when you wear your jersey to school and they're like, oh, that's their number, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to make it a valid sport. So whatever, growing pains. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, but this the rules. So the same thing. So like Oklahoma has a state series. Oklahoma has laws around booster clubs and how you do that in schools. And it makes sense that there's a league per state. So like when we think about growing this, we need to have a league at the state level. Someone's going to have to own that for that state to say, we're the governing body, we'll be the enforcer of the rule. We'll make sure that people aren't grabbing kids from different schools that don't actually go there and taking them for their team because it's not what it's about. It's not about winning. It's about building community and representing, and don't try and stack your team. So we're going to have these rules, and the rules for that league will be guided. Like nationally, I think we should kind of have the same rules. Like the jerseys should kind of be the same. I'd really like USA BMX to do a school number that is valid for the school year so that their numbers don't change in January, but that's a whole other thing. So we have the national leagues, and then you break it down by school. Like, what are the laws of California? What are the laws of Missouri? What are the laws of Kansas? Like, you need to follow those laws. So, like Oklahoma, if you want to have a booster club, that's great. You've got to be these things because that's what the Oklahoma law says you have to do. And we're going to help you as the Oklahoma League follow those rules. So we do that by state. And then you have the national rules, basically, guiding the 50 league. So anyway, you build the structure, you build it, they will come. You build the rules and people will follow them. I think it gets
Build it and
weird.
they will come. We also
Right.
have to tell people about it.
Right. Right. But I think organically, honestly, it grows by itself. Like going back to school and doing the flyers, like people post it on social media. They post the little races, they hear about it and then they want to go and join their friend to be a part of it. It will grow. You build it, they will come. Tell people about it, send out the flyers, but it's gonna grow.
I love that. Yeah. Ultimately, with the rules, all you're trying to do is mitigate the number of people that are having GMC Denali's given to them so that their kid will come raise at a different school.
Right. 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 I mean, it's a problem. It's a problem. And I only know that because, it happened in Little League football. People were doing weird things to get kids to come over and play so we can win and be the champion. It was like, what is happening? They're third graders. What's
Yeah.
happening?
Oh, it
This
is
is crazy.
crazy how invested parents get at 8 years old,
Right.
9 years old. And you're
Right.
like,
And we've
you,
already run into that. We've already run into it, like where people are trying to move. And it's like, you don't go to school there. I'm
what?
sorry. Your kid goes to school here. This is the team for them. You can't go over and be a part of this because you don't go to school there. Like that's the rule.
I always want to be a little bit more difficult. And I just want to be like, what do you stand to gain
Right. Right.
from like at the end of
Right.
this when your kid goes, let's just say, let's play this out for a moment. Your kid goes over there and your kid is absolutely amazing. Your kid just
Right.
brings everything home for them.
Right.
And at the end of the year, they go, you won.
Right.
Whoa. What did what did you get out of that?
By the way, in BMX, everything you just achieved, you could achieve over there for your school, right? Like it's not holding you back. I don't, but it's already become a thing. And so it's
Yeah.
like, okay, my idea of making sure there were rules in place before we got started was good because here we are already having these challenges and there's only 116 kids. Imagine if we have 25 schools or 35 schools and that number expands and now we're at 1,000 kids, what kind of problems we're going to have. We need to have rules in place to make sure that we're already addressing it. And I can take from my experience of being in Little League football and all the craziness that happened there and already adopt their rules because we already know they've been doing it for 40 years. They know what's up. We're just going to translate it to bikes and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Important.
What you are doing is amazing. And again, thank you for that.
I'm
Um,
happy to do it.
I want to I think it's so cool. I'm excited to have people connecting. I think it'll be great to have people talking to you and reaching out to you. And I think that they can reach out. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'll put your website. We'll link that down in the description
Yeah.
for the episode so that people can contact you through there. And
Yeah.
then people can also reach out to me uh, and I can help connect them with you
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so awesome.
but anyway, I am so thankful again for your time and for your investment into the sport and into the kids, the families, the riders, and what is going on. So
It's exciting and it's rewarding. It's rewarding to be there, when the little 5-year-old kid finally learns how to balance in the gate and we're all, doing cheers. So it's a rewarding way to give back to your community, start a school team, give back to your kids, give back to the school that your kids go to, give back to your community, build your community.
and if I think if absolutely nothing else were to happen, if that kid that has never felt valued feels valued, that's the win.
Right,
If
right,
he hasn't felt like he's important because he can't catch a football
right, right. But
and
then
this makes him feel
come,
valuable.
he can come and get wins. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge. Like build a place for them to come. I
Yeah.
mean, the superintendent of Sand Springs is right. Every kid deserves a place. Build a place for them to come.
Yeah. That's amazing. Carmen, thank you again so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we could probably keep talking for a
I
while, but
know.
I think,
I just realized how long it had been. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
no, please don't apologize. Yeah, I can't imagine that anybody listening is really wanting you to apologize either. But no, I feel like we should probably go and be respectful of your time, and we'll field questions as they come in. So
Yeah, that's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, thank
Thank
you
you so
again.
much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
All right, awesome. Bye.
Well, bye.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode. It is because of people like you and our sponsors who make this whole thing possible, because they have a desire to see the sport grow. If you would like to get involved in the mission of BMX Breakthrough, you can start by going to your local track, find a way to volunteer, help out, and serve there. Or you can go to our website, bmxbreakthrough.com, in order to donate, find out about sponsorship, or learn more.